One, two, 1, 2, 3.
All right, he's in our virtual green room. Author Jim Reuther joins us. His book is called Gunky's Adventures in the Land of Must Believe. It's so interesting because when we talked off air, I mean, this is a guy, scientist in his career. He's written all kinds of technical reports. And this is a book that just takes you away to a wonderful place. It's a book that you can pick up at any point because it's a collection of 25 different stories of tales. Really some interesting work here for sure. Jim, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me on.
Tell us about why you wrote the book. I love that story of how this happened.
Well, I wrote the book because I felt compelled to document and share some of the experience from someone who's seen and experienced the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good is my beloved family and many friends from work and play. The bad are the losses of those friends and spouses and setbacks in your career. But I have a different perspective. I have the ugly part, and that's witnessing the raw horrors of warfare. I have a PhD in chemical physics. I've studied everything from soothing candle flames to fireballs from explosives that were meant to kill and burn innocent men and women. My day job was to demilitarize weapons of mass destruction, roadside bombs. Some dark humor. Our team motto was, we give you no bang for your buck. I traveled the world, and what I found is there are many people, all they want to do is live happily and spin along on the planet in peace. And I'm asking in this book and shouting out is why not? Today's society, I think, needs an escape to a kinder, gentler, and inspirational place, which hopefully can be found in Gunky's world. And that's why I wrote the book. My intent is to offer hope to those who are struggling emotionally, that no matter what tragedy occurs, enduring happiness will exist in being in every moment. And my disclaimer is I'm not trying to tell anybody how to live the life, but only to wonder what they're doing now and what their options are, to take a deep breath and chill. So that's really why I wrote the book. It was really for inspirational purposes to the world.
Yeah, and you talk about these different journeys, and tell us about how the book's laid out and what we can expect.
Well, because I'm a science nerd, it's a series of alphabetical anthology of short stories beginning with poems. So there's 26. The first one, Afterlife, Love Story, and Wish, was written by my late wife for me to be found after she passed away. And in that book, she shared some very raw information about our personal life together, but she also challenged me to write my stories. So she leads off with A, and then the following 25 stories are about family, friends, foes, and failures. The titles are meant to be catchy, to give you an assumption of where you're going. I'm intentionally misleading you. It'll be undone when you read this story. For example, I say Close Encounters of the Hooters kind. I talk about Naughty Boots, the story about my daughter. Taming of the Screw is a story where I use a rusty screw to capture pictures with best friends who don't want to be photographed. And then finally, Ziggity Zaggity Blinkety Blink. The last story is an adventure that's in progress. Where you start on the adventure, I'll put you in a situation, but where you will wind up, you will not believe contextually and also emotionally. It'll make you wonder about things. Every story ends in a wondering. I ask you a question about thinking about where you are in your life and emotionally and psychologically and just in peace. The poems are meant to be both profound and playful. They might not be appreciated or understood, but when you read the adventure, you'll know. Since there's 26 stories altogether, I have titles for most of them. There's very bizarre happenings that only a scientist would know. There's gags and humor. Yes, a PhD molecular spectroscopist does have a sense of humor, I think. I can make people laugh occasionally. They're meant to be inspirational, meant to be about true love. I offer mysteries that will befuddle you. No one has figured out the one that I have in there. They think they figured it out, but I've double-crossed them. Stories about beauty and nature and trees. I will introduce to the world a new benevolent monster. I think Bigfoot needs a companion who's friendlier. Some nostalgia, my nostalgia, which will trigger stories in your mind. Some odd personalities that I met. I had practical jokes that were taught by my father that were played on me and that I will play on others. It's about resiliency, being tough and getting through life. There's some pranks, definitely surprise ending, and I hope that there's tears from both happiness and sadness in the book. So that, in a nutshell, is what it is. It's a series of short stories that take you through many adventures to make you think and wonder.
And when you and I talked off the air, I asked you this question. It's hard because it's, all of them have different meanings, and they definitely have meaning for you. And then you have the thought-provoking wondering after each story where you ask the question, like you said. But do you have a favorite story? What's one of your favorites, anyway, in the book?
My favorite story is a very touching one, and it begins with the letter W. Again, this is a difficult choice because they're all my children, these stories. But in the letter W, and you'll hear the title in a moment, imagine yourself having a very bad day at work, play, or home. A lot of little things go wrong, or a major thing goes wrong, short of death. And you're disappointed and you're angry, and you say unfair and woe is me. Well, I had one of those days in which, because of someone not being able to do a very simple task, a proposal for a large multi-million-dollar, multi-year contract that would be career-shaping and putting technology in the world that would be very useful, failed to be submitted on time. Now, there were lots of anger and lots of finger-pointing and blaming, and I was, talking to myself driving home and upset and angry and, wondering what to do. And I went to dinner that night. My late wife had prepared dinner. Now, she was not eating that night because she had chemo that day. And she listened very intently to me about this story. Her beautiful eyes were shining, and, she just was listening and understanding my pain. It was at that moment that she lifted Fluffy, which was the nickname we had for her wig, off her bald head. And she looked at me and said, "Do you want to switch?" And
wow.
The answer to the question of what's important in life, the answer is in the question, life. So that's really what I'm doing. I'm saying that we all go through struggles and trials. We have to, they're hard. We have to accept them. We can't change. But you have to have hope and believe. You must believe that there's better times are coming. So that's really my favorite story. It was very touching and poignant. And I have to say that just sharing my soul to the world was the biggest challenge in pulling the trigger to submit the book for publication. But I've done it, and I want to help people who are in the same situation. I've mentored other husbands and wives who've lost people and different people. I do talk to veterans and the like who are thinking about ending their lives. So I have a mission in life, and that was the mission to get these messages out.
And you've done that. And so on the cover, for people, if you go to Amazon, especially, you can see it there, but Barnes & Noble, wherever, and that's where you can pick up the book. But on the cover, you have these rocks with holes in them. Tell us about that. That's what the cover is. It's very neat.
Those covers are stones or rocks that have naturally see-through holes. So I have 300 in my collection, and at the Los Angeles Times Festival of Books, when I signed the book, I gave people a little lucky stone from my collection. But what they're meant to be is holes in them are portals to the other world. You can get into some magic and witchcraft in these, but you look through them, you can see it's a portal to the other world. And if you look through it, what I've imagined is you can look through that portal and see the world that you would like to be in. And as I say to them, if you want to be there, all you have to do is turn the stone around, and you can be there emotionally and happiness and joy. You can't change circumstances, but it can put you in a position of emotional strength. And I think, as we talked before, they are rare. And people say, "Well, how do you find them?" And I say, "Well, you look down, you see a rock with a hole on top, you pick it up, and you see if there's a hole on the bottom." And the joke I make is, it's not rocket science. Realize I'm a PhD in combustion and explosives. I am a PhD rocket scientist. So again,
very funny.
They're gimmick. I mean, it was a gimmick, but I share them, and it's really to something. They're lucky stones. A lot of people took them. They immediately put them on their necklaces. and they'll think of the options because I want to make you wonder. You can make your life better by believing. You must believe.
You must believe, and you say that. So there's another part of this, too, because some of this money goes to nursing scholarships, specifically hospice nursing students. Tell us about that.
The reason why I'm okay in handling the death of my wife, it was a long battle with a cursed disease, which I will not mention. I think we all know what it was. But she experienced breast cancer and then eventually had liver, lung, and spinal cancer, and then finally it went to her brain. And we knew that she was going to pass away. So I was one of her cases. She was a hospice nurse at Kobacker Hospice in Columbus, Ohio. So she was handling me to prepare me for this. After she passed away, all the proceeds to the book go to the Teresa Reuther Hospice Nursing Scholarship at Kobacker House. And it's to fund nursing students who are now in the hospice profession, who have enough on their plate. In other words, the emotional spending that they have and the compassion and love that they share is enough. They don't need to worry about college debt. So it's really, I'm paying back college loans for these nursing students. It's been going on. And the thank you letters that come back are precious.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, this book is a game changer for sure. Gunky's Adventures in the Land of Must Believe. You can pick it up, as I said before, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Jim Reuther, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been a delight and an inspiration to me. All the best.
Email us at info@greatwritersmedia.com. Call us at 877-600-5469. Subscribe now.